The IoT show is all about learning. I learned a lot, hopefully you learned some, and today we will learn about the Arduino IoT Cloud. Muhammad Afzal is joining me to tell us his journey and the story of a book that he wrote about the Arduino IoT Cloud from a developer standpoint. Muhammad is not an IoT developer, at least he was not when he started his DIY smart agriculture project. And along the way, he wanted to share his learnings. And that's what this book is about. Arduino IoT Cloud simplified the way he was able to connect devices to the cloud and share the data from these devices to other applications to make something out of it. So that's today on the IoT show. Hi everyone, this is the IoT Show. I'm Olivier, your host. Today we'll talk about the Arduino IoT Cloud and more specifically about this book written by Mohammed we have here on the IoT Show to tell us everything about the book and why he wrote it. So, Mohammed, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Oliver?
I'm fantastic here in Seattle. So tell me, where are you calling from?
I'm right now sitting in Pakistan, and around 9 o'clock it's time at night.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thanks for joining us from far away. And let's talk about you a little bit. Who are you? What are you doing?
Actually, I am a software engineer. Initially, I started my career from web development, but later on, during my university education, I fall in love with the network programming. But the issue is that there are no jobs in the network programming field because there are only limited vendors like Cisco, Juniper. So when I heard at that time, back in 2015, I heard about the IoT. So I feel interested the thing because it involves the things and the network connectivity. So from that journey to that journey, I shifted towards the IoT.
Awesome, but welcome to the family. So suffice to say, you don't have a background in embedded or IoT stuff, but still, you came to do IoT. You're interested in it, and we'll talk about this book that you wrote down. So you've been working with Pact, which is like a editing company, and they help you producing that book. And you had some project going on with the Arduino IoT Cloud. So tell me a little bit about this book and the story behind it, how you came to start writing it, and so on.
Actually, it's a very interesting incident because in 2022, I am near to complete my MS thesis. And I made a plan to write a book on smart agriculture in my own language for my country. But the PAC team, acquisition team, saw my work that I am posting on social media related to the Arduino IoT Cloud as well as other IoT stuff. So they came to me and they talked to me that, hey, Afzal, are you interested to write in a book? I say, yes, I am interested, but my English is a weak. So they said, don't worry, we have a complete team who will guide you in all of the aspects. And if you are agree, then we will continue. And I say, okay, let's enjoy the journey. So that's why
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's always great to see someone like you going through a journey of discovery, learning, and sharing it. I think this is something that's very useful to your peers, other people like you who might be in a place in their career path as software engineers who is like, I'm not super in love with what I'm doing, or it's kind of a dead end here. So IoT is not a dead end. It's like, oh well, I'm biased. It's called the IoT show, right? So,
yes.
but at the end of the day, it's a very interesting technology. So, how about you show us a little bit of that project, and then we'll go back into the motivations and what the Arduino IoT Cloud looks like, right? So, can you show us what you've been building?
Yes, I can show you my screen. And here, if you see that this is my industrial solution that I have specially designed to monitor the warehouse temperature and the humidity using the industrial grade sensors. By the way, here is my sensor. You can see that. I'm hiding the other part for some privacy. But it is easy to build the solutions, and you just need to focus on your prototype and the solution instead of focusing on other stuff. So here is another project which is specially designed for my area. It is reporting the temperature and the humidity of my environment as well as CO2. Actually, there is some issue in soldering. That's why CO2 sensors are not giving the proper reporting. By the way, this is the thing. If we come to the dashboard, from here you can see the pretty awesome dashboard. By the way, this is my another account. For the book, I have set up the separate account which contains all the demos and all the things.
Okay.
So if you see here, it is how it is easy to see all the things and design the things.
Yeah. So for those who don't really know or are not familiar with Arduino and the Arduino IoT Cloud, I discussed that in a couple of articles recently. But I think people might be interested in understanding, how hard was it to get to, I have an Arduino board with sensors to here, knowing, and once again, that you're not an embedded developer, right? You're not coming, your background is not about soldering and doing things on the device side of things, nor is it to create this kind of IoT dashboards, right? Because you're in telco, you're not in design for UI or for websites. So tell me a bit about your experience, from zero to what we're seeing here. How hard was it? What are the things that you encountered as roadblocks or that you were surprised to discover were easy and simple?
Actually, it is true that I am from software development background. I didn't have any prior experience regarding the embedded systems, but thanks to the Arduino, back in 2015 when I was in Dubai, one of my colleague who is actually from the electrical engineering, and I asked him that I want to learn the embedded system. He told me just buy an Arduino to get started with that. And frankly speaking, it's a pretty easy to get started with the Arduino development boards. Uh, you can say that it's just like a framework. You can easily plug and play the sensors with the development board without any soldering on the breadboard. So, if any person is coming from IT background, software development background, then he is a very good to go. As you already earlier mentioned that if a person is from telecom industry, then he is also capable to use the Arduino. And if we come talk about the Arduino IoT Cloud, it is pretty easy to use. Now I am explaining from the hardware development perspective. If a person is a hardware engineer, so he have an issue to understand about the UI UX or designing a mobile app or a web app, then he is a good to go to use the Arduino IoT Cloud to up and run his prototype even solution easily without any too much curve. Only need a little bit learning.
Yeah, yeah. I was when I went myself with the Arduino IoT clouds for the first time. I'm coming from Microsoft and I've been working on Azure IoT Central and things like that. And so I was not super impressed, but I was trying to put myself in the shoes of someone who was not aware or into all of these mix of technologies, and then realize that, okay, wait a second. So they can really rapidly build, anyone can really rapidly build a dashboard that shows data real time from sensors and set up some rules and do some level of things there. But then rapidly I realized also that there's an API to it, meaning that if you want to go beyond that proof of concept and that nice dashboard in the Azure IoT, in the Arduino, sorry, IoT Cloud, you can do that. You can extend that solution, and so did you actually have the same feeling as in, hey, infinite possibility here, because I could definitely extend that solution to something more. Here we're just for the book showing Arduino IoT Cloud itself. But do you in the book discuss as well the extensibility? And if not, can you share a bit more about your impressions there?
Yes, now there's a API set of API endpoints you can use to build a custom application, as well as there is another tool, Cloud CLI, which helps you to automate your stuff using command line. Actually, there are two types of CLIs. One is the Arduino IDE CLI, another is the Arduino Cloud CLI. It is easy to use the Arduino IoT Cloud, but it is good to go to create a one, two, three, four, or five things using the graphical user interface. But if you want to deploy 100 nodes, it is difficult for you to navigate from one window to another window. So they have built the Arduino Cloud CLI to automate your all of the stuff using the batch scripts. And yes, via the APIs, we are good to go to build our own custom interfaces for the interaction. But still, they are developing for the real time APIs. Right now, we need to call the APIs. They are not going to give us the things. But yes, they have the webhooks to extend the instant notifications with the other third party services or cloud. But still, they are working on just like you can say that MQTT or WebSocket services, which will
Okay.
help the other developers to take the data in a real time from Arduino IoT Cloud to their dashboards.
Okay, that makes sense. So there's promise here, and that's interesting that with your investigations and experience with this book writing, you were able to already notice that and start working with that. So, would you also tell me? There are different options out there. So you shared that you started with the Arduino hardware because you wanted to start embedded or test out IoT stuff, and someone recommended, "Hey, try Arduino. You'll see it's pretty fun and easy to get on board onto." But then when it comes to cloud connectivity, there are other options out there, especially you are a professional IT person. And so you might want to rely on, I would say, one of the hyperscaler solutions, something that's been out for some time, like AWS IoT, Azure IoT, and there are other ones out there. So would there beyond here's a hardware and it just connects to the Arduino IoT Cloud? Was there a decision that you made not to go with Azure IoT or with AWS IoT or another of the cloud providers out there, or was it just because you had a hardware?
No, actually, I am a adventurous guy. I try different clouds. I didn't directly move to the Arduino IoT Cloud.
Okay.
From the beginning, I just started with the ThinkSpeak. It's a very easy and a basic IoT cloud. You can say that actually it's designed by the MATLAB to store the data. Actually, we cannot say that it's a fully IoT cloud, but still it's a IoT cloud. Then I
Okay.
moved to the Canny devices and some other IoT clouds. And later on, I also used AWS as well as Microsoft Azure for professional product development. But the issue is that if we talk about the Canny devices, ThinkSpeak, or some other clouds, these are, you can say that in initial stages. I mean, they are good to go, they are working, they are good, but if we talk about the Microsoft and the AWS, they are big giants. And to handle the big giants, we need to put the resources. Now, the issue is that still people are observing the things and they are identifying the problems and they are building the solutions. So at the initial stage, they are not capable to spend a lot of money to the enterprise infrastructure. This is the biggest issue because we need to hire specific persons because there's a no proper set you can say that use and build and go. No, there are a lot of complexities. Actually, it's a combination of services. For example, if we want to set up a monitoring system, we need to use the IoT Hub, Stream Analytics, Cosmos DB, and then for the reporting, there are Power BI. These are actually four tools that I am talking.
Yep.
And Event Grid to send the notifications. This is the fifth one. So it creates complexities. But when I see the Arduino IoT Cloud, they are firstly built on the AWS, which is the number one good thing that they are
Mhm.
scalable and they are on a secure infrastructure. Even there are many IoT clouds who are built on the top of a Microsoft Azure, and they're also good to go. Like I think Canny My
Yep.
Devices is built on the top of Microsoft Azure. And the other thing is that they have a very easy interface to set up the things. And actually, IoT developers need a specific solution. They didn't want to go here and there because it's confusing. So this is another reason. And the third thing is that they have you can say that in a thing we have a container. Let me show you something on my screen. uh, if we come to the thing, uh, it's actually the container which is holding all the cloud variables as well as your network description, I mean, your authentication and the login details, your device information, your metadata. And here is it is a very good thing, the sketch. It is the main thing. Mean everything contains its sketch inside the thing. Mean wherever you are, no problem. You have access to your code, anything, and you can directly send the over there update. And frankly speaking, it's too much easy that
Okay, so
right
let
now.
me stop you for a second here. So this is super interesting what you're saying, because what you're showing here is some sort of a twin for the device. The twin for the device that contains, the variables. Basically, the capability of the device are there, and they are accessible to your Arduino IoT cloud infrastructure, right? They can read the data, display that on the various diagrams you showed earlier on dashboards and so on.
Yes,
You also have the code for the device, for the app that is running down there. And something you said really fast, but I think we need to really put focus on, which is over the air updates. So
yes,
that device that you have is connected through the internet, and you can do local development, right, with the Arduino IDE, and you deploy locally the code and do the debugging and so on. But here you can also edit and and dispatch the updates for your sketches. I would not recommend trying to do debugging from here, but once you've tested your code and you want to deploy to X number of devices out there,
yes.
you can do so through the Arduino IoT Cloud pretty easily, right?
Yes, and you need to just click one button for over there and you are good to go. So now these are the main features which inspired me to work on that thing, to explore more and more in depth, because we need to guide to the customer to get the viable product in a
Yeah.
budget friendly. You can say that budget is also a biggest constraint.
Especially when you start on your own dime, right? When you are learning for yourself, you do your own training and you want to discover. So it's always better if it does not cost you too much, right? It's when you start doing 3D printing, you start with a very cheap thing you assemble yourself, right? You don't go for the $X thousand machine to start with. So that's the same thing here. And the interesting part as well is that, to me, the translation from the maker enthusiast, development cycle that people can consider Arduino to be about, that will translate to production. Arduino have a pro line of products that
Yes,
uses the same middleware for the devices, and can leverage the Arduino IoT Cloud with the over-the-air update and campaigns of deployment on an enterprise fleet of devices. And so the path from proof of concept, an easy cheap solution for your home, for your business as a proof of concept, to an actual production solution, there is a path there with the Arduino IoT Cloud and Arduino Pro, right?
yes. Actually, recently they launched the Opta, which is industrial IoT, and we can say that it's a beginning of industrial IoT using the Arduino. Already there are different organizations, but Arduino have a very huge base customer. You can say that biggest community who are already
Yeah.
users, and so it is a very good move from the Arduino side that they initiated this step and they launched. By the way, on Monday, I received my Opta PLC from the Arduino team as a token of appreciation for the last badge. So soon,
Nice.
in the second edition of this book, I am going to demonstrate the Arduino Opta PLC project.
Nice, good idea. I like that. So last question for you, Mohammed. So you've been writing a book on your experience, which was already like a big step. But how would you say that experience is and will impact your career path? Like, do you think IoT is a potential future? And would you recommend others to look at IoT as, hey, if you're bored in IT because you're doing this and that, and you're going to be replaced by co-pilots and other AI, right? How about you come and do IoT? Once again, I'm biased, but I would like to have your opinion on, do you think that's a potential path forward for you? And would you recommend it to others?
Yes, actually, it's a potential path as a career, but the issue is that it's not like a web app or a mobile app that you are going to build within a couple of days or weeks or a month. Actually, it's a we can say that very serious field where you need to learn different things regarding the hardware perspective, regarding the connectivity perspective, regarding the cloud perspective, because every scenario is different from another scenario. You cannot fit a US solution into the Pakistan or into the India or into the African countries, because every country have a different demographics. So it's a little bit harder as compared to other fields, but yes, it is a growing field because I am in the field of IoT since 2015, and on the daily basis, I am seeing new things coming into the market. But yes, still, if we talk about like the home automation perspective, it's a little bit slow because mostly people are focusing on industrial IoT because this is the main biggest stream of revenue. So
Yep.
it's a career path, and I will just say one thing: uh, early runners always win the race.
I like that. I like that. And that's going to be the closing word. So once again, this book written by this gentleman here, really recommend if you want to discover what the Arduino IoT Cloud can do for your personal project or for a proof of concept with a perspective to go enterprise or production. We'll put the link down there for you to get the digital version of that book. Mohammed, thanks you a lot for sharing your experience and sharing your book as well. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day. It's my pleasure to coming to your show.
My pleasure. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.